what a day. All right, let's start this step, shall we?
Yeah, we shall do that.
Yes. So I'm Angie.
I'm Michelle.
And we are sisters who channel.
Oh, Blue Heaven, sorry.
Oh, we're Blue Heavens.
Sorry.
Dang it. We're all screwed up today.
Sorry.
Let's start over. Okay. Hi, friends. I'm Angie.
I'm Michelle.
Blue Heavens. We are sisters who channel ancient and divine beings from two councils of thought. Lazarus is a divine counsel, and Lucian is a counsel that shows us our shadows within the illusion. These beings teach us how to be better people, leading to better lives, and we hope to teach you how to live your best life. Right? Wow! That was a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So today we are talking about, if God is spirit, why don't we believe in spirits? We've got some messed up things that we would like to try to shed divine light on today. So let's start this with my youngest daughter, Emily, is in the 7th grade, and they were learning about Joan of Arc. And they talked about how Joan of Arc had visions and that she was burnt alive because she had visions. And Emily kind of thought of us, right? And a girl in the class was like, oh my God, visions, that's so scary. I would have burned her alive too. And Emily's like, oh my God, like people still think this. And yes, people still think this. And it's wrong. It's Jesus showed us a lot of things when he came down. I think the biggest thing he showed us is an in between the lines type of thing, is that the church does not represent our Heavenly Father. Our human church represents what humanity thinks God would be. We've put this God in a box, and that's what this punishment, all this stuff is just our interpretation of something that can't be interpreted by our limited minds.
And this is Locaeus. Absolutely. Your human mind cannot concept the great divine. It's so much, and even if you think you've got it figured out, you don't have it figured out. Right. So you're never going to figure it out. Even the experts and scientists and everything else trying to say anything. Hi, traveler, thank you for making an appearance. We're good, thank you. And that the divine traveler came through. But even with all the scientists and everything, there's just so much. The divine keeps mysteries.
Yes.
But the thing is, what I don't understand, I thought you were actually kidding about the whole ghosts and spirits. I really thought, because I thought that seems so unlogical. Why would a human think that? Yeah. So I hadn't heard Google, and I actually read these things that humans are putting. Christians putting you only live one life, and there's no spirits and ghosts. And I was taken aback. So and this is a great subject, because so many people believe this, and I don't know, how could you believe something like this? Because this is not truth. This is not at all. Jesus transfigured to show there is spirits, the Holy Spirit. You right, do the Holy Spirit. I don't understand why you wouldn't believe in spirits.
Right.
How do you think prophets and that got their messages?
Right. And all throughout the Bible, it talks about how Spirit is the thing. Holy Spirit is the communicator through people. That it's not people, that God's words are coming from this Holy Spirit. But it was mentioned 90 times. The word Spirit is mentioned 90 times in the New Testament, and the Holy Spirit was mentioned 26 times in the Old Testament. So Holy Spirit was mentioned before Jesus ever came to show us what Holy Spirit was. It's amazing.
Well, you got to remember back in the day. So why don't we start off with your the scientific? I want to start with here first, and then I will shed light on that as well. But I feel we need to start over here, because what you said was, the scientific you came up with beautiful, and it shows proof.
Yes. All right. So spirit in the definition is in the definition. Spirit in the dictionary. Oh, it's hard to be a human. Is a noun. The non-physical part of a person regarded as their true self and capable of surviving physical death or separation. So spirit is not our body. It does not die. It is a supernatural thing. Our physical form in physics is called matter. The definition of matter is a physical substance in general as distinct from mind and spirit. Again, not mind, not spirit, that which occupies space and possesses rest mass, especially as distinct from energy. So again, this is saying it's not the physical body, it's opposite of the physical body. So if our physical form is called matter in physics, then spiritual form is called antimatter in physics. And antimatter was something that was theorized by a Scottish physicist, Peter Higgs, in like 1964. And it was later discovered at CERN, the European Center for Nuclear Research. And the insider says that they found this proof. They called it the God particle. So they found antimatter and they named it the God particle. They said it is physical proof of an invisible universe-wide field that gave mass to all matter right after the Big Bang, forcing particles to coalesce into stars, planets, and everything else. And again, we have talked about that God was like a big sun and it exploded and everything went different directions and each has an awareness of what it was. It's still a part of what it was, but now it's a separate self to experience things. And that separate self is what comes into these forms to learn lessons, to expand, to communicate with God, to expand ourselves, to go back to this perfect form that we exploded out of. We are messengers. It's all over the Bible saying that these people are messengers. And again, I think you have a thing to tell us about the church. So again, I want to remind us, the church, I always wondered like who killed Jesus? The church killed Jesus. The leaders of the church killed Jesus. What does this show us? God was telling us our church does not represent him. He was showing us what does represent him. And what does represent Father, Mother, God, what does represent Father, Mother, God is gentleness, compassion, love, taking care of one another, generosity, humility, these spiritual fruits that were given to us through Jesus. And again, Spirit, you guys have said over and over again that Jesus's death was more brutal than it needed to be. That shows us how messed up and how strongly rooted we are in our ignorance. We wear our ignorance like a badge of honor, and it should not be taken that way. We are living a counterfeit life compared to what God has to offer us if we just say, I'm sorry, God, help me out. So tell us about church and that has messed up our understanding of this stuff to make us even think the Spirit isn't real.
Absolutely. Well, the one thing is I can give a view of church because I remember lives, my human lives, where you're not going to remember your human life. So I can give this input where this all really started from. And it started in the early days. Indians were very spiritual. I was an Indian, no surprise. But we were very spiritual beings. We understood the earth. It was like shamans. Yeah. Pleiadians, Pleiadians want to understand, and we're here to understand. And then the settlers came in with their own point of view. It was the right view. They were more concerned with money. Well, you got to remember, this is how they were raised. I'm not blaming the human. This is a lesson they're here to learn, understandably. And I'm not saying this is where it all started, but it feels like it all started when everybody knew what God's all about. And so you got to remember the early settlers are looking for money. We have to have settlers. Well, the government, there's a government now. We got to have money. So there's God. So let's scare people. And there's pagans. Now pagans have it, pagans are they mind their own business. And now mind you, a pagan is worshiping nature. They're worshiping their own deities. They're not causing any harm. They're being, and so we have to have, you got the church going, well, we have to have a building. And there is a falsity. You do not need a building for God. God's everywhere. But we need a place for the settlers to pray. Okay. And let's build a building. But okay, so they're not coming. They're not coming in because you got to remember there's pagans. Pagans don't want to go in a place. I was pagan. There was another life. I was pagan. Didn't want to be somewhere where it didn't go because God wasn't the God I knew.
Right.
God they're preaching was an angry God, a fearful God. And the God I knew was loving, and being in nature was God. So I knew God differently than how they're preaching God. So now you fast forward a little bit. Now we have to scare them somehow. Now pagans would draw in they're like when they were sitting, they're forced. So we were fast forwarding, pagans are forced now. You have somebody walking up and down, scary, walking up and down, looking at you. Are you looking at the Bible? Are you looking at the book? Are you looking interested in the book? And it was scary because if they didn't think so, there's a lot of consequences that can happen to you. So you had to act as though you were really. So what pagans were doing was worshiping, but putting their own pagan deities right in front of them, right? And the one was Herne the Hunter, you know. So I guess it looks like the devil, according to church officials. So now we got something, a horned person, a deity. This must be now we're scare tactic. They sat. Well, we have to get money somehow. They're not wanting to come to church. We have to bring this person to come. And they would knock on your door. They would knock on your door to go to church. People were making excuses, not being home or hiding somewhere. Okay. And then they would try to find this hideout and you would have consequences. So there has to be a way to scare people. Well, let's create a horned being. So let's call him Satan. And now let's make him, and now you'll go to hell now. Hell, that's a great place. And let's put him to hell. And if you don't go, and then that's, forgive you for your sins. Oh, here's a good one. Everybody sins, and they'll have to pay to repent. And now you fast forward, where are we still at? Now here's Jesus coming forth. And I'm watching Pure Flicks. And I love watching the people when he comes around, when Jesus first comes around, we don't follow you, we follow the law of Moses. I'm like, here's the law, right? Look at the law right here, it's in front of you. Yeah. I didn't understand some of the thinking on some, but it's just amazing to me. He was there and he didn't want a church. He walked around. Did you ever hear him preach in a church? No, he preached outside. He would go to people's houses and he would be there, but he always made sure he was around the sinners or considered the sinners. He was there. He was never, and he always said, I'm the way, but he never said, I want you to worship me. He never once said that. Now, this was dangerous to the Pharisees. This is dangerous because now they got this money, they got this control, and they can scare you with this forgiveness and the sin and the devil, and they can scare you with all of this stuff. And here's Jesus going, hey, this is a different way of preaching, and they didn't like that. We have to get him out. We just have to get him out. We just, so, and his own people, his own that was there to teach the way, killed the way. And that never made sense. It does make sense because now you fast forward, now God's the bad guy now. It wars are started in the name of God, no, God didn't tell these people to do this. So there's so much misconception. But the early churches, that's what was going on. It was scary. So we're still living in these scare tactics, and God is not a fearful being. And as for spirit, this is a soul, this is spirit, this is just a vehicle. And whatever planet you come from, you're still going to have one of these, but you have what makes you is your soul. That's your authentic you, and it remembers everything. It remembers from the very first time you ever stepped, wherever you stepped foot. It remembers everything. And when you dream, that's where you're going. You're astral traveling and you're checking, multi-dimensional and everything else. But your spirit, the Holy Spirit, Jesus died. When he came back, he even showed himself as a spirit. When he walked on water, he showed himself as a spirit. He was trying to show the early people, this church is not preaching you the right things, the right information. There is spirit. There is spirits. Are there ghosts? Yes, there's ghosts. There's spirits. And yes, sometimes you don't know you're dead and you don't go. Yeah. Yes, that is a thing. That is a thing. But to say you only live one life, that is it. And you go choose heaven and hell, that is not true. Your soul knows that is not true at all.
Let's talk about that for a second too. So it's like, if I go to play a video game, like my Super Mario game, I love playing Super Mario. If I only had one life, I'm not going to get very far. I'm not going to really learn anything. It just doesn't make any sense because that's not how it is. And this place is like that. We get more than one shot. but we still have like a similar pattern to follow. Like, but we get to advance. We get to learn more and more each time. We can get extra lives, right? Like, we don't just get one shot. And if we don't learn it now and clear our karma or ask to be done, then we have to come back in the next life is harder than this one. It's time for us to understand this. And it's time for us to not be afraid of this stuff. When you and I, Michelle, when we went to be baptized, we had to fill out paperwork ahead of time talking about how we wanted to be baptized, right? And we both mentioned how we could hear God and we wanted to help people who felt like we did, who felt shunned. What did they do? We had family there to celebrate this special moment of us being atheists for so long and finally embracing God. And they pull us aside and act like we're devils. They acted like we were going to burn in their little tub in front of everybody and humiliate them. It was terrible. It made us feel terrible. God does not want you to feel terrible. God loves you no matter what you've done. He loves you no matter who you love, no matter who you have sex with. He loves you no matter what fucked up things you've done. He loves you anyway. People don't get it. So don't let people put God in a people box, because he's not in there. He's spirit. He's love. He's these things we don't see, and he's these things we don't see on purpose because it builds our faith. It roots us back to what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be this material stuff. We're not supposed to be so enthralled in all this material stuff because it's fleeting, it's temporary, it's not lasting. Spirit is lasting. So if we protect our brothers and sisters, we're protecting what matters. And we talked yesterday about the Ukraine and the war that's going on. And you were talking about how that negativity is being felt everywhere, that it's not just a war that's happening over there. That is affecting all of us because we are all connected. If you're not out there with a gun or whatever, you're still being affected from that energy. We need to have peace. We need to learn to be okay with one another. We need to learn not to let some egomaniac decide to spread war and hate. We need to not believe propaganda. We need to not wear this badge of ignorance so proudly. Take it off. Take it off. It's not real. What is real is so much bigger than this fake badge. You're going to feel like an idiot for settling for that for so long. Just wait.
Well, you're absolutely right. I could remember my lives, and you gotta remember, this has been a thing forever. I mean, you got to Ukraine, but I have lived through the Confederate. I have lived through, I mean, I was even in Vietnam. I was in all of these wars. And actually, in Vietnam, I had 3 different lives in Vietnam. Yes. Of course, each of them I died, of course, you know. And none of it felt like it, none of it was fair. None of it made sense. It's all propaganda and hate. And it was just so much in the Confederate, you know, watching all the blacks and it was terrible because it was, and I was on both sides of things because of course with your human life, you want to know both sides.
Right.
And it's hate. And you got to remember in the Ukraine right now, it's not just affecting them, these poor people. It's not just it's affecting us. Now everybody's complaining about the gas prices and all of that. Understand, I get that, okay? There's people getting killed. There's a country getting overran, and we're worried about the gas prices. Where's our morality? Honestly, I don't understand that. We should be praying for these people because we're all one being. If they're hurting, we're hurting. Subconsciously, we're taking it out saying it's the gas prices. It is not the gas prices. We're hurting because these people are hurting. They feel it as a nation. You will feel it all worldwide. When Princess Diana died, did everybody, or did they not feel that hurt and pain? They all mourned for her loss. We were all mourning for her loss. We are all one. That is proof. We're all one energy. You're all one. So these people in Ukraine are hurting, and they're angry. Of course they're angry. Yeah. They've had freedom now. Look, it's getting overrun, and it's just terrible. We're feeling that. It's like smoke coming our direction, and we're inhaling the smoke. And we are picking up, but we don't understand, why are we so angry? Why is all this stuff happening? And some people are embracing it like, this is great. Some people are like, I don't know what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. That's
And
why we need to pray for these people.
absolutely. I just printed something out that I forgot to print out, but let's see. So it shows us what part of light we actually see. So that's the spectrum of light, that little section that's being pulled out saying, hey, there's what we see. That's what we see. Everything else is stuff we don't see. That's spirit. It's a spiritual realm we don't see, and we don't see it on purpose. Because if we saw everything, we wouldn't be learning lessons. Here is this. We'd see it for what it is. We have to be veiled.
Well, humans have to be veiled. I don't have to be veiled. I see everything. I see everything that is not. And I was supposed to be, now, this was a revelation I told the kids yesterday. And I think I might have told you. I've told you this before, but I just told her kids this, and her poor daughter didn't understand what I was going with. But I was supposed to be your brother. I would have been your brother. My name would have been Tony. Right? But I would have been Anthony Earl. Yeah. Yeah. I'd have been Tony. I'd been Uncle Tony to the kids. And so Laura told me, she says, oh, good, you could have married Mom. I go, no, I could not have. I had to have a separate family here, but yeah. But I was supposed to be this is how your divine works. I was supposed to be here to lead with blue habits and help. Right.
Right.
And the divine and all the great said, I need this message across. If you're here, you're not going to be helpful, because he knows me. He knows you. He knows every hair on you. He knows you. You might say, oh, I would be, no, he knows you. He knows you. So he knows divinely this is the best way to do it, because I can give you the message. I can, use the Pleiadian, I can use the human and help.
Yeah.
And this was not something I was very happy about, because when you are there on waiting to come here, it is like an honor. It is a celebration. And you don't remember any of that. You don't remember the glory it is to be in his grace, and you don't deserve to be here, and he gives you the right to be here. It is an honor. And then he says, well, I think you're better off to do this. It's like, ugh, like that. But he's right. He's right. You don't sometimes want to hear that. Even here, you don't want to hear it, but he is right. So I am here. That's how he loves you. He wants you to get your lessons, no matter how he's got to get the lessons. And sometimes your life, you feel like you got deja vu. We got deja vu. Well, sometimes you live your life several different times, the same, but sometimes you change people. How are we going to change people? And I would like to mention on karma, because we're talking about this yesterday at karma. I had to discover this the hard way with karma, of course, the hard way. So I've done all these lives, and I can tell you how many lives I've had. And they were all like harsh lessons, And so finally I go to the great divine and I ask, and it's like an energy. Right. And usually you would go to Jesus, because God's like this, like, oh, So Jesus represents, and it was basically, I'm like, how much longer do I have to keep coming down? How much karma? Because I've accumulated. And when you go, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this again. Because that's usually what your last thought is. I don't want to do this again. And I didn't do this again. And I was told you don't have to. I'm like, karma. He goes, if you don't want to do this again, there's a waiting list of people that want to come down and do these lessons. If you don't want to do these lessons, then you may go back to, because you don't want, it's like a college. When you get all your information, they don't force you to go. You can stop. And that's what it is in here. So your karma, yes, you should deal with everything, because that perfects your soul. And karma is there because you don't want to leave anything like hurt somebody, or you could have helped somebody over here. And then you want to make sure all of this, because what karma is I didn't fix it in this life. I got to fix it in another life now. It's because your soul wants to be perfected. Yeah. But sometimes the soul feels it has everything. But you can go home. There is none of this. You're not stuck here. You can go home at any time. You can fix all your karmic debt before you leave. That's where Loki would come through. You just simply say, with whoever contract you have, I'm done with this contract. You astrally do this, and you shake hands, and that contract is ended, and you're done. Mm-hmm. You don't have to keep doing this. And that's something humans don't understand. But the soul wants to be perfected. The soul will keep coming down to perfect. That is what karma is. because that is what he is. He is perfection. So of course the soul's going to be perfection. And you want to take that back to your planet. So
Right, you're teaching, he's teaching, everybody's teaching. We all have, since we've all had different experiences, we've all learned different things. So
absolutely.
we have that to teach one another. Our story helps others. It helps others grow. It helps people maybe know what not to do. It inspires others. It has all kinds of possibilities just from things we've done. It's amazing how that can spread out. But point is, spirit's real, ghosts are real. We should know this, but it's like been dumbed down within us. On the video, when Morgan comes through, when we're introducing the beings within Lazarus and Lucian, Morgan comes through and says we were in the wrong realm because everybody's spiritual senses have been dumbed down. She didn't know what she was seeing. And so we are in the right realm, but we're not where we're supposed to be. Like propaganda, all that stuff is real. We're not where we're supposed to be. But the Bible tells us where we are supposed to be. And Holy Spirit is our teacher to teach us what we're supposed to be. And again, spirit, the definition said our true self. So Angie and all these material things aren't my true self. It's who I am in this incarnation to learn lessons, but this isn't me. I'm in there. My true self is in there, and it remembers all my lives. Just like you've said, it's like my inner locatus. It knows
Absolutely.
everything, and it is
Yes.
always connected to God. Is that correct?
Yes, you are always connected to God. There's a cord. You're always connected. And the simplest way, like you're saying, your inner locatus. Everything you're projecting right now, Angela, like right now, you're labeled a woman. You're labeled a woman.
Yep.
You're labeled as your age. You're labeled as a human. This is your body. Everything's a label. We don't label things. We don't label. Humans have to label everything, even your social security number, which I found very amusing, but it's everything. You're identified from birth. You are labeled. The minute girl, boy, labeled. Social security, label. So, and the name, and that name is a label. So that's what you carry. Yeah. If somebody goes to you and says something to you like fat, for example, Michelle goes through this, fat, that'll stick. Now she thinks I'm fat, and that's how she's labeled. You're not, you're fat. You're not, you are this. This is the spark in you, is of the divine. There's a cord that connects you. When you close your eyes, when you go to a deep meditation, you will see a golden cord, and that is your cord to the divine. We're all corded. I don't care if you look at your neighbor and you go, that is the meanest person I have ever met in my life, and I think they're going straight to hell. Well, one, that's not true. And everybody, all in God's image.
Yeah.
This person you don't understand, take the time. The label, again, quit labeling. Humans label everything, and then they judge it. What is like, you look at it, you judge it, and you label it.
Yeah.
And then you stick it under a file in your head. And then you go, well, it's under this file over here. And it takes 8 seconds to make a judgment, a wrong judgment or right judgment. Yeah. And there's no wrong or right judgment. There's just judgment. And people, when you meditate, it all goes away. It takes a long time to quiet the mind, but you can. It is achievable. And you will see you're a spirit. You will see the ghost. You will see that. So yes, you live more than one life. Like you said, it would be like if you played Mario. Why? You said, it was very interesting, Angela. You said this, and I love that. You said, if I was going to play Mario Brothers and I knew I had one life, I wouldn't even want to play because it would be no fun. Because if I died at the very beginning, then that's it. That's the game.
Right.
Same with life.
Right. Right. Why would you do it? It wouldn't make any sense.
Right. Absolutely. So I agree with that.
Use our noggins in our hearts. We need to open up our noggins in our hearts. Again, these people's hearts have become calloused. They have closed themselves to me. They have closed their ears and eyes to me. And we're trying to show you, hey, open up your ears and your eyes because it's there. It's not separate from us. It's there with us. We just don't see it. Again, it's there. It exists outside of the realm of what we see on purpose.
Yes, because if you could see everything, it'd be a distraction and you couldn't go on with your lesson. So you have a veil, so you will learn. You're here either to follow God or not to follow God. And you're always here to find him again. And that's the most beautiful journey. every time I would leave a life, go here, because I can give this inside view. You go, and to be in his presence, you go and you think of everything you did, and it's usually the negative you did. It's not the positive. You go back to the negative, and you're forgiven in that instant. When Azra, when he was forgiven, when my dad was forgiven for everything he's done, he didn't believe it could be that easy, that simple. It is that simple. He loves you and forgives you. The minute you do anything, he has forgiven you. When you go here, because you got like a few days where you're in limbo. When I say limbo, it's just you got to get used to the spirit and here now. You're getting used to it now. And you're just remembering the human. It kind of flux here, and it's kind of a confusing time. And then when you realize all the pain is gone, that's peace. There's none of this. And one of the first things when you're human, you go here again, that inner voice.
Yeah.
That is great. And there's no label. You're not boy, you're not girl, you're not Michelle, you're not Angie, you're just you.
Yeah.
We don't have names. You give us names.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, I go by the last name I remember. Now Loki, of course, you know, he knows his name. He's been here for how long? But he was kind of cursed to be here. You know his story. So unfortunately he's here and he can't die. He's tried, he can't. When I say that, that's not against God. He's not going to die. And if you know anything about Cain, that's where I'm referring to. He's from that. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But everybody else will go here, and that voice goes away. You got peace. And then you look down, and if you remember on the video when everybody came out, everybody says we are here looking down, and we see it, but we want to help. But the minute we hit this, like a cloud here. Yeah. And once you go below that cloud, it says like, and it's interference, and it's hard. And where we're at, I mean, I'm in a state of love, but the minute I channel here, I feel it, the icky again. But see, I'm used to the icky. They're not used to the. That's why you don't really hear. Loki don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm used to it. The rest of them are just in the state of divine. And when they come here, it's just to them, and they don't like it. So that tells you, you know, we can achieve all of that. We hear Jesus and Sri Krishna, Buddha. We can achieve that. Gandhi, Mother Teresa. We can achieve these things. I heard something beautiful about Mother Teresa. And she would look everybody like they were Jesus. Everybody she'd come across was Jesus to her. And they said, if you do that, you will be around Jesus 24/7. If you look at everybody and all his brothers and sisters, that's when you realize he dressed everybody's brothers and sisters, because that's what they were. Even his own mother. He goes, I don't have no mother. I got brothers and sisters. Everybody to him, because he was trying to teach you, you're all one being. He was trying to teach this. You had to read between the lines and that. So that there is spirit. He was trying to show you there was spirit. Wake up. There is more. There's so much more to your divine life and that. But if you could see everything, it would be just too much. And I can tell you I can see it, yes, but it'd be distracting to a human.
Yeah.
Very distracting to a human. But it's like every day, because you're not here, your mission is not very long. So while you're here, we need to make the best of this mission. But if you don't accomplish everything on this mission, you can do other missions. You're not obligated to. Let's just put that out. You're not obligated. Yeah. And you can do things like this. This is what confused Morgan. People say this is called channeling. We don't call it channeling. We call it something completely different. If you allow the human to call it channeling, okay, sure. And we actually thought that people would, and I asked Laura the other day, I said, when your mom talks, who do you see? Curiously, who do you see? She says, I see all of you. Mom and you. I see all of you. And I feel this is an amazing thing, not to be embarrassed by, but people don't understand. And Jesus, when he was here, he was broken. Nobody understood. When you looked at Jesus, I was in front of Jesus. I won't say which one I was, of course, the one that loved him the most. Yeah. Yes. And that's still true today. No, what it is. You could look at his eyes and you would see not only him, but you would see, it's hard to describe, his eyes were just mystic. I like the most beautiful rainbow in the world. You could just look at his eyes forever in his orbit of love. And he would leave you in such a state that you couldn't, it was like an awe. And his death, when I was there, you love somebody so much and you're watching and trying to reassure his mother and others around, which I will not mention right now, that it's going to be all right, but you're watching who you love the most. And he says, watch my mother. And it was the most difficult, and it was not necessary, all because they're trying to keep finances. And so it's attachment to money, finance. And so that tells you what attachments can do to you. And that's what it did. So
And it's like you can't serve two masters. You can't love God and mammon.
absolutely, you cannot. And you get here and you see all the beauty, and you don't have to wait to go here. You can see it here. When you meditate, you can see it. Ask to see it. He'll show you. He wants to share all this with you. You got the Bible to share. Michelle came up with something very interesting. I've got this new, because I was a Catholic priest. One of my lives that I have, one of my favorite lives. And I'm not pushing that. I'm just, because that's what I was. So she's got a Catholic Bible, and she does things. You both do things for us all the time. But I usually, when in front of Lord, to show her the great divine, and I show them, this is the message I was given to give to the live. And then we will proceed with something else. But it says, this is in Daniel interprets the dream, Daniel 2, and this is Daniel 20 and Daniel 29, but it's in Daniel 29. To you, O king, as you lay in bed, come thoughts of what would be hereafter, and he who reveals mysteries may known to you what is to be. But as for me, not because of any wisdom that I have more than all the living, has this mystery been revealed to me, but in order that the interpretation may be made known to the king, and that you may know the thoughts of your mind. What are we doing? What are we doing right now?
Yeah.
He tells you everything you need to know right here. Everything. That's what he's saying. I can interpret a dream, but so can you.
Right.
You all know it in here. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing we could have got for this life, because what we were talking about, and that was being addressed right here.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I guess let's read today's words to live by. Let's see what it has to say. And we'll go into our cards, I guess.
Yes.
Figure it out. All right. So March 8th, our quote is from William Blake. The tree which moves some tears of joy is in the eyes of others only a green thing that stands in the way. Ooh. Wow.
Wow.
That's deep.
That is.
So the tree which can make you water up with beauty is also something that's just in someone else's way. How differently we see something beautiful. That's really cool. I like that. I think that's a great quote for what we've talked about today too.
Mm-hmm. And that's so perfect. You notice trees are always used as symbolism.
Yes.
The tree of knowledge.
Tree of
And
life.
yes, and then the fig tree in the parable.
Yeah.
He uses trees as an example all the time, because it stands for, the tree can stand for so many different things, but rooted.
Rooted, right? And
Yes.
it's in the ground, and it's in the soil, and it's a part of everything and all of it.
Absolutely.
So one day when I was a growing boy, my grandmother asked me a question. Have you ever looked in Hasty's eyes? Hasty was one of the elephants that frequently served our religious ceremonies and that I had been learning to ride. Hasty's eyes, like the eyes of all elephants, were tiny, ridiculously small, really, for an animal so huge. She has no idea how big she is, Granny said, because she looks out at the world through such tiny eyes. If the world seems hostile and lifeless, and if we seem insignificant in it, it is because, like the elephant, we look at it through such tiny eyes. Through those small eyes, shrunken by the desire for profit and personal gratification, we appear just as insignificant as all the green things and all the other human beings, animals, fish, birds, and insects that stand in the way. When we are absorbed in the pursuit of profit, we live in the narrow world of the bottom line. In that world, our only neighbors are buyers and sellers, our only concerns, property, profit, and possessions. Yet all around us is a world teeming with people, animals, organisms, and elements, a deeply interconnected environment that responds to all we do. That's perfect.
That is perfect. It's just how you choose to view the world.
Yeah.
And that so many people keep their eyes. I bet that elephant sees so much more than that human sees.
Yeah.
It have the small eyes, but I bet they see everything.
Yeah.
And no judgment. Animals don't show the judgment as much humans, and we choose to see what we want to see. The Bible, that's one thing I noticed in churches, and this has not changed, is they focus on what they choose to focus on. And leave parts out of the Bible that could be very helpful, but it's your interpretation. The church is just that preacher's interpretation of the Bible.
Right.
And sometimes we find the right church. And when I was a priest, and this was a hard one because this is my last life here that I had. Everybody, they were not my congregation. They were not my parishioners. They were God's.
Yeah.
And I knew the difference. And I got in trouble for always wanting to help others, taking my personal money because they were supposed to give to the church, exactly right. I'd make sure that they got that back, the community. I was always the one that they were like, well, you don't have any money or whatever. But it wasn't about me, it was about them. And I knew from an early age it was always about them. And I would love to see that again. It's be about the people again. And that's and when we do this, when we all do this, we're giving back to the great divine, because we have met Lazarus has met the great divine. Let me say that. Lucian has not, for their reasons, but Lazarus has. And when you're in that presence, you want to give it back to his sheep. You want to give it back so bad because you want him to get it. And he does everything. Understand, he'll do anything to get your attention. He loves you. He will do anything to get your attention, however that is, to get your attention. Sometimes it's the attention we don't want, but sometimes that's the attention that gets us. But no, he loves you no matter what. These are lessons. When you go through them, is you chose these lessons.
Yeah.
Understand that. And if you ask for assistance, he will give you that assistance. It's as simple. You just got to ask. He does know everything, but it's good to ask and have that conversation when you're having good times and bad times. Should be all the time. He should be your best friend. So that is why we do what we do. We want everybody to and that's why we all do this. So, but that was a beautiful passage, because that's what that's saying, seeing the world all over the place, not just through a limited view.
Right. And it is so much more than material things. So much more. I hate how much of my life I've spent on material things and wanting things, and they don't matter. There's a couple things that matter to me greatly, like Blanky, a blanket that was given to me as a baby. I still have it. I love that thing. That's one of my material possessions I cherish. It's not worth much, but it means so much to me. But
well, do you remember the ring that your sister wore?
Yeah.
When she was 3 years old, and your mom gave it to her. It was 3, and she handed that off. That was her attachment she felt that's identified.
Yeah.
And she knew it was time to hand it over. And it was very hard for her to hand it over, but it was the right thing to do, to hand it over. Yeah. So it was teaching not to attach. Yeah. And the biggest thing is, don't attach to this body. This body is not you. This is just your temporary vehicle to get through your life, to get the message of God across, or whatever your message. It don't have to be that. Whatever you've come here to do, just take care of your vehicle. Yeah. Just take care of this vehicle, and you're just a messenger, however you choose to give your message. It doesn't matter how you choose to give your message. Your mom, a dad, a doctor, nurse, it doesn't matter. It just is, you're here for your lessons and things like that. Yeah. So however you choose, and that.
Yeah. Do we want to do our cards?
Absolutely. I will bring Loki through, because we want to start bringing more Lucian in. So Loki representing Lucian, we're going to bring him in. Forewarned, he is hyper. So it was nice being with everybody.
Thanks, Lucas. I appreciate it.
And here's the fun one. This is Loki, by the way, in case you're trying to figure out who's that.
Howdy, Loki.
Hi.
So yesterday, Michelle and I each posted a card on Facebook to see if anybody wanted to exercise their spiritual muscles with us, and guess what they felt from it. And we haven't heard anything, but this is something we're going to continue to do. So the card I picked from my Keepers of the Light Oracle cards was Serapis Bay, the card of ascension, the card of rising above the darkness and into the spiritual realm, which I thought was a great card for what we've been talking about, which is spirit. The spirit's not form. It's spirit's real, rise above it. And one of you was Serapis Bay. You were Serapis Bay. That's who I thought it was. I thought it was you. Can you tell us something about the life of Serapis Bay?
Oh, absolutely, I can. Well, this is why Locaus brought me through as well.
Yeah.
But yes, Serapis Bay. Well, around Atlantis. He was around Atlantis and he held jewels. He was the mystic. He held the jewels. Now, I'm not sure what humans have wrote about Serapis Bay, but this is Serapis Bay telling you about Serapis Bay. Now, he had wisdom, he had knowledge, and you got to remember the Atlanteans were beyond, I mean, they were still beyond where you're at right now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, way beyond. Serapis Bay was a mystic. He held jewels. Jewels had power, you know, and it was just like a beautiful time. It was just a beautiful time, Atlantis. But there was a time when, like, this negative, everybody started to understand. It was like everybody like was waking up from this dream, and everybody wanted to start hurting one another. So people like me as a mystic was saying, you're going to destroy your society. You got a beautiful society, let's not destroy it. But you know, people aren't going to hear it. Once they start discovering power, it's like you get the taste of blood. Like they say, never, like a dog, have a taste of blood, because once it does, it's what it always wants. Well, now they start getting power. Now they want power. And you got us, like leaders, going, this is not smart on your half. This is not smart. I was one of the ones that was preaching this. Of course, destruction. And I was the one that took the jewels. And I was the one that had to take the jewels. Well, there's a great water coming, very difficult, but I could see it ahead of time. The mystics knew it was going to happen. So I had to take the jewels and I had to hide the jewels that was there in Atlantis, which is still buried. Yes, I know where that's at. I will not tell others where that's at, but it is still there. And people are figuring it out, they feel. But there's another realm. You're not going to go, unless you want to go in this other realm, you're not going to find it. But Serapis Bay was so much more. He was one of the people that was a very wise mystic, prophesized. You know, there was something out there that's so much more. And I was teaching, don't be attached to this body. Don't be attached. You know, I knew my lives. I knew who I was. So being Serapis Bay was just one of these characters I was playing. I knew it was a character for me to play.
Right.
I knew I had the mark. So of course I knew who I was. And I know, and then see, they knew that I wasn't going to die. That's why they gave me the jewels. They could die. I wasn't going to die. You remember what was told?
Yeah.
You'll never die.
Yeah.
You'll never die. I can't die. So they were very smart in saying, here, you take the jewels. You can't die.
Right.
So I took the jewels because I can't die. I can regenerate and do this all over again. Oh, please, I want to do this again. After watching it all over. And then to watch the love of my life die sucked, of course, you know, but that's how that goes with me, you know. But that's through Serapis Bay, but very intuitive, very smart and wise. So, and it seems very appropriate today. You would get Serapis Bay because of what's going on and what you're teaching. He was teaching knowledge and wisdom. He was teaching all of these things in Atlantis. Like, there's so much more. This is just a body. You got a spirit, you know. But like I said, towards the end, everybody knew everything. It's like they ate from the apple, from the tree, and they wanted to be that. They wanted to take control. And when you start doing that, that's your downfall.
Yeah.
That was Atlantis' downfall. So, and that's kind of a great card that you get. Ukraine is just part of your. If it's not this, it's something else. If it's not over here, it's over here. It's something else. There's always a fight. There doesn't have to be, but there always has to be. Always feels like it. Yeah. That has not changed. And I can tell you, Atlantis fell for simple things like this. Once everybody was greedy and wanted the part of the universe to share, that became the fall of Atlantis.
Yeah.
So, and so that's not surprising that card came out today.
Yeah.
So, but that's a Serapis Bay. but that is, and then so the card that she got, which is kind of, it goes right along here.
Yeah.
It was from the, I gotta see, the Oracle of Shadows and Light. It is Fairy of the Highland. It's time to be brave. And this card is being brave when you don't want to be brave.
Yeah.
It's stepping out of your comfort zone and you're scared out of your mind, but you got to put your foot down.
Yeah.
I feel this has been put to some people that do watch our lives
Yeah.
and they know who they are. But I would trust Mandy. I'm sure this is for Mandy and for Marianne.
Yeah.
I know these are for these two. It's just time to face the things you don't want to face, but do it bravely. These are things people are telling you what you need to do. Follow your own heart, what feels right to you. And I feel when I got that card, it made so much sense because it goes along with Serapis Bay. It was very hard for me to go to these people that I love and tell them, wake up, wake the hell up. This is stupid.
Right.
It's hard. And Mandy, and I'm not talking about Mandy and Marianne on this.
Right.
I mean, for them, it's just I see other people trying to influence them.
Yes.
But they're very wise and they're picking up on that. So I would say keep on doing and sticking to your ground, even if it's difficult, just do that. I'm referring to the people back to Serapis Bay and the days of Atlantis. It was hard for me to stand up and tell people, hey, because when you come from love and all of a sudden you've got to tell people, wake the fuck up here.
Right.
They're not doing it. And you even have to use harsh language. And that wasn't
you don't want to, right?
You had to.
Right. You don't, right. But you have to. That's why some of these things that I feel like I need to say, I don't want to say them. I don't want to offend anybody. But at the same time, God's like, they don't learn any other way. They don't learn any other way. And I'm the same way. I didn't learn any other way either. Someone being nice to me didn't work for me either. Someone telling me I was being an ignorant fool worked for me. And it sucks. But I think, Loki, you know, sometimes that harsh truth can break the barrier quicker than love can. Love can heal what's left, but sometimes love doesn't break the barrier.
No, and that's what that card is saying. It is time to, you got to be brave regardless. If you've been putting something off, you just got to do it. Regardless if you're going to hurt this person's feeling. I set a boundary you don't want to do. Tell a friend something you don't want to do. It is hard. And on Michelle, it is your ex-husband. Stay away. I guess, yeah, he wants to go to church.
Right.
Let somebody else do it. You don't have to be the hero right now.
Right. I
time for her to put her foot down. So this goes, that's where that applies.
Yeah.
But at Serapis Bay, it was hard, and I get it. And I've had so many lives where I had to do, people see me and go, you're a badass. All of this was simple for you. No, it was not. It was not. Being told from the very beginning, you're never going to die, you take it like, okay, okay. But, and then to know your generations of other people are going to carry that to mark right alongside you. It just makes you feel great inside, just bubbly and warm. You just learn not to give a shit when you get to this point.
Yeah.
You just say, I don't give a shit. But sometimes you use that language. Tony Robbins, he uses that language. And then you can put at the very beginning, he may use these to wake you up. He's very God loving. He's so loving. I watch this and I'm like, there's me if I was nice.
Yeah.
That would be me if I was nice.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston just gave me a heart, you know, the heart that I should have had, I guess, but I don't have a heart. And everybody knows Loki, he doesn't have a heart. He's very not. But he uses that to wake you up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to do that to wake somebody up. And that's where I come through. You have to. That's what, you know, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And Zacchaeus will come through and he hugs you. He hugs you. It's, you know, I give you the medicine. He comes through and he just hugs you now. Now he hugs you. Now we're going to make sure the medicine settles. But I throw it at you first, you know. Take the pill. Take, you know.
Right.
No matter how, I got to get that message across. So this is how we do it. But yes.
Perfect. So our next Tuesday teaching will be on the 22nd. And were we going to do that on some parables? Is that what we decided?
Absolutely. I will bring Locaeus back for the parables. He knows more about the parables.
Thank you, Loki.
I am.
All right.
He's all like, now her brain's like, okay. Well, I'm thinking about the parables. I want to start where we discussed this yesterday. Start taking some parables and modernizing these parables and making them where they make sense in today's language. So we're going to like retell a parable, but in the eyes of 2022, that'll make sense to you. And then people can join in with their interpretation, which would be wonderful. We all get back like that. We can all just kind of our interpretation, but bringing parables to this time so we understand these parables. So we would like to take the parables that Jesus gave and start doing, and giving it back that way.
Perfect. And we're doing an Ask Lazarus and Lucian on the 10th. So this Thursday at 7.
Yes.
Heck yeah. So we'll talk about stuff and then open up to around 7:30 for questions for anybody that has any questions about their spiritual journey or if they want any insight. We talked about how we'd like to start doing more things on our Facebook page, to start doing exercises with people that we may post what's inside the box, and little things. Think of a number. I don't know. We'll try to think of little exercises for people to start building their spiritual muscles again. Because we're going to take y'all up to the mountain with Moses with us, remember?
Absolutely. And when you do this, we give you the exercise, and we'll put that down, of course, is close your eyes, and when you breathe in, you go focus in, a calm mind. And you do this for a little bit. You do this until you're so calm, and your body will just relax. And when you feel that calmness, then whatever question that is posed, what's in the box, what number is this, what color is underneath this card, what's the first, do you get the visual, do you feel it, what is it? It doesn't matter what sense is being used. That's your primary sense. Go with it. You might even hear whatever it is, go with it. And it's always the first answer. Go. Don't let your human mind try to get in the middle of it. Go by the first thing you get. If you get the color green, you see green, you hear green, you feel green. Yes, you can feel green.
Yes.
And then you put green, and you go from there. And I say, that's not the color. And you go, well, it's the first thing I saw. No, there was something else. You just put that. And it's going to teach you. So just keep doing it, and you will get it. And you'll be so amazed how everybody, that's what we want to do, is we want to teach, but it's just all about getting that. But we'll always say, before we put something, is breathing, calm, and we'll go through the process every single time, and we'll all get there. And it's a beautiful thing to get that strength and intuitive. It's great to do that for humans.
One exercise I started with is if I knew what I was going to do that day, I would start thinking of like if I had to go to the pharmacy, what color hair might the pharmacist have? Do I think it's going to be a female or a male pharmacist? I would start thinking of what might this person look like, and then try to compare it. And that was always fun, because sometimes you're just way off, but still you're using your imagination, you're using this muscle, and you're trying to get it to focus in, because all this stuff is vibration and light codes. It's all zeros and ones. So we're picking up on what light codes are out there. Like you said, the color green, we can feel the color green. Of course we can. It has a light code. Our body is the vehicle that's interpreting all these light codes to tell us what it is. So that is a way it can sense green. You could feel green. Your body go, oh, okay, yeah, that's what green feels like. So yes, absolutely. It's all just zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones.
And so, yes, absolutely. I mean, do that. I mean, that's a good exercise for everybody to do. Just imagine, like, you know what you're going to do today. Exactly what Angela said. That's a great one. I love that you mentioned that. So everybody can do that. Yes. Your phone rings. Before you even look at who's the caller ID, who's on the other end.
Right.
Like if you got children, who's the first child's going to come talk to me today? It doesn't matter. Just for our radio. I love the radio game. I do this with Trevor all the time, guessing the song.
Oh, yeah.
And before we do, he freaked Michelle and Kenneth in Gatlinburg. He was like, I'm going to say he was 12, 13 years old. And they were getting ready to go to this general store. Well, Michelle and Kenneth were talking about something. Well, Trevor started singing Little Pink House is for you and me. He's singing that John Mellencamp song, Little Pink House is for you and me. And he's just going through the whole song. Yeah. And so Kenneth goes, why are you singing that? He goes, oh no, I just kind of felt like singing it. They go to the general store. What song is playing? The same verse he just got done singing. It freaked him out. It freaked Michelle out. And here's Trevor just going, yeah, I kind of figured that. So yes, absolutely. That is amazing. And when that happens, it makes you more excited. And because you go, I got this one. I got the next one. I'm going to get, and it will get further and more like that. So the radio game is a great one as well to guess a song. So however you want to do it
too, it builds your faith in this stuff, that this stuff does work this way.
Absolutely. Believe in God.
Anxiety and depression. Once you start seeing how this stuff works, you can take control over it.
Yes. And
that
however
is
you
a
decide, like,
wonderful feeling.
exactly. And it's like you look over here and whatever you decide, the universe, God, it's
Yeah.
nature, whatever. No, Loki, we're not going over to you. Whatever. If you feel like Loki, it's fine. But whatever, but that's what it starts. And just play little games every day. And it helps you, like you said, your anxiety and your depression. It's a fun little game you can do every day.
Yep.
And that. So yes, absolutely. Let's try that today as our exercise. And then on our next night, Thursday, comment below how it happened. We'd be curious to see what had happened, or on our Facebook page. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I love that. That's wonderful. Cool beans. Well, it's 1:11, so I guess we should wrap it up. I think we did very good. We were a little late, but I couldn't figure out cookies, and then come to find out we were on the wrong side, and yada, yada, yada. Yahweh.
And this is Marcus. Yeah, I heard everything happening. It just meant that it's 111. That's a very divine number. So that's very good that we're ending it on a divine number.
Here you are to end us at 1:11. It's divine.
Totally. Well, I would like to do the wisdom is be that spark for somebody, like, and remember your soul, your creation. Remember this, the great gift you have been given. Let's remember that and be that spark. I say that every time, but be that spark for somebody else when you're not, even especially when you're not feeling your own spark, but all it takes is a simple smile and you will get that spark in return. And you let people in your orbit of love. It is amazing when you are depressed and you focus outside yourself. It's an amazing feeling because that is how he's teaching you humans to be. It's and be in that orbit of love. It is amazing. And I would love as well, let's please keep praying for the people of Ukraine. Let's keep praying. And let's pray for that and the people over there and our armed services and everybody, our doctors, our nurses, police officers, everybody that
soldiers that are being lied to for this.
Absolutely.
I feel bad for them also. I mean,
yes,
it's just such a shitty situation.
It is. Well, I want to put prayers for all of these people and I hope that God gives the truth to these people and helps them, and as is every day. And thank you very much for everything that you could do and continue to do, because we live in a world of wonderful, amazing beings, mothers, fathers, pastors, children, teachers, everybody out in the community. And even if you're at home raising children, I don't care. Thank you very much. You're given this divine. It just thank you for being here, and we're so grateful that you are here, and he's grateful that you're here every day. So we're very, very thankful. So give yourself a pat on the back for being here, because there's so many of you that did not want to be here. There's so many beings that decided they didn't want to be here. You are here right now. Congrats yourself. This is amazing. You are an amazing being for being here. But I want to give a special thanks for everybody out there every day playing their part. Thank you very much for doing that. So, and let's keep on prayers for everybody. You see somebody in need, let's put a prayer out for them. That is great. And let's just love everybody. But let's remember that spark. Let's give that to everybody.
Yes, please. I love that. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you on our next live or video. Love y'all.